Welcome to the Defining Moments Black Men series of the 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐿 Show. I have my guest today, Judge Charles Clevert Jr. Thank you so much for being here.
I am pleased to be with you.
Thank you. So, as we get started, can you tell us a little about yourself, your occupation, and your background?
Well, I'm Judge Charles Clevert. I am a retired United States District Judge. I'm currently an arbitrator and mediator, working with a company called 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤.
Okay. And one of the distinctions that you did not mention, I think you were the first Black man of color or man of color, Black man as a judge in the state of Wisconsin. Was that true? In your
That is true. I became a United States bankruptcy judge back in 1977. And in 1996, I became a United States district judge. I was the first African-American federal judge and remain the only African-American federal judge in the state of Wisconsin.
I'm happy about the first part, but sad about the second. Only one still, and it's 2023.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. This is Defining Moments. Let me, I won't dwell on it. Okay.
Well, I'll dwell on it a bit in the future, but I will just say that it saddens me to be the only African-American to be a federal judge in the bankruptcy court or the district court. There is a Black magistrate judge in the state of Wisconsin.
Okay. Okay. And what does magistrate judge mean? I don't know what that means.
A magistrate judge is a federal officer appointed by the United States District Court to handle a lot of things that federal district judges handle. The magistrate judges are appointed for a term of years rather than through an appointment by the President of the United States.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. That's very interesting. Okay. So how would you describe yourself?
Well, I would describe myself as a guy from the projects. I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and for most of my life, I lived in public housing. I'm one of 8 children in my family, and I was the first in my nuclear family to go on to college.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I must admit, I've known this man. Well, he's known me my entire life. This is my uncle. So I was so pleased that he said yes. And I'm saying that because I'm so proud of you, and some of the stories you've told me in the past are just so important, and they help me to shape. You may not know this, but times when I had challenges or just kind of wanted to give up, I thought about some of the stories you told me, and they gave me encouragement and the courage to continue moving on. So I just want to thank you for that. So you know how some people have the crazy uncle. I don't have the crazy uncle. I have the judge uncle. Anyway, if you had to pick a phrase that would be the theme for your life, what would it be?
It's based upon a hymn.
Okay.
It's if I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Oh, okay. So oftentimes people will say, what is a defining moment? So a defining moment is a point in life when a pivotal decision must be made or when an experience fundamentally changes a person. What defining moment would you be willing to share with us today?
Well, there are a number, but the most significant, particularly as it relates to my career, is getting an opportunity to see a lawyer by the name of Lawrence Douglas Wilder, Doug Wilder, in court on an occasion when I was called upon to serve as a witness in a case when I was about 12 years old. So at 12 years old, I saw Doug Wilder in front of a court, and I said, that's what I want to do, because he was helping people. He was making a difference, particularly at the time that I saw him, which was during rampant segregation and mistreatment of Black people in my hometown of Richmond, Virginia.
Now, are you speaking of the would-be to be governor of Virginia?
Absolutely, one and the same.
Wow. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit? Okay, so what led up to the moment and what happened as a result? What did you start to do, think, or behave differently as a result?
Well, someone was prowling behind my house. And
they were doing what?
Prowling.
Prowling, okay.
And I was called to court to testify in connection with that prowling case. I saw Doug Wilder in court. I met with him before going to court. And I concluded after seeing what he was doing and how he was making a difference in the lives of people he was representing in court, that I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I buckled down even more and put my head to the grindstone and said, I have to do whatever it takes to get to college, to finish, and to go on to law school.
Oh my goodness. I had no clue. This is amazing. Okay. And so
and I've stayed in touch with him to this day.
That's what I was going to ask. That is fantastic. Okay. That is certainly a defining moment. Okay. So, all right. You said you lived in the projects and you did what you had to do to go to college. So can you tell us how you paid for college since you were one of 8? And
well, my dad, let me adjust that. My dad never earned more than $100 a week when I was growing up. Wow. And I found out that the best way to get to school was to get good grades. And so I did the best I could in school, and I had a wonderful school counselor by the name of Grace Pleasance. Mrs. Pleasance saw to it that my personal information was sent to various colleges, and I ultimately became a finalist in a national scholarship competition. I got a huge number of invites from various colleges across the country, and ultimately I received an invite to Davis and Elkins College in Elkins, West Virginia. And they gave me a wonderful package that enabled me to go to school. And Davis and Elkins was transformative because there were professors there who looked out for me and who nurtured me and who encouraged me and directed me in a way that enhance my opportunities after finishing undergrad school.
Wow. And then where did you go to law school?
I went to law school at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. That was as a result of going to a summer program called CLEO, C-L-E-O, the Council on Legal Education Opportunity. Okay. And after law school, I went to a CLEO program, and there I met several professors. One was teaching at Georgetown for the first time. His name was Jerome Schumann. Professor Schumann encouraged me to apply to Georgetown. Up to that point, I was planning to go to the University of Richmond Law School. In fact, I had been admitted and had obtained a loan from the Central National Bank in Richmond, and I was planning to live with my parents. But Professor Schumann encouraged me to consider Georgetown, and I applied with his assistance and was admitted to Georgetown. And my first year, I was a legal assistant to Professor Schumann.
Wow.
And that was how I paid for part of my law school education. I did get a scholarship to Georgetown, and I finished Georgetown with a total debt of $1,500.
Oh my goodness. And that was a lot back then, but at the same time, what is it now? It's more than 135,000, I would think.
I know it's huge.
Yes. Huge. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so exciting. Okay. So at 12 years old, you knew what you wanted to do because you saw someone like you doing it. So if you could tell us, what are 3 things, feelings, behaviors experiences that you've had in your profession that confirmed and verified that you were where you were supposed to be?
Well, one thing is I've had an opportunity to serve as a state and federal prosecutor. And during those times, one of the jobs of a prosecutor was to screen cases. And I believe that as a prosecutor, I was able to bring some special insights into the matters that I was called upon to handle. And it gave me a chance to, in some instances, decide to divert people from going into the criminal justice system. But I also saw to it that people who were charged fairly, and where there was perhaps police misconduct, those cases would not be charged, or there would be a different way of handling the matter. I would certainly bring to those cases my lifetime experiences, and as a result, I believe that I humanize the criminal justice or legal system for the benefit of not just the state or the U.S. government, but for the benefit of the community as well.
Yes, yes. Fantastic. Why is it important for us to have, for everyone to have representation in the criminal justice system? So representation meaning that you saw Governor Wilder as a 12-year-old and that influenced you. Why is influence and seeing someone like yourself so important, especially in today's world?
Well, one reason is people of color are often put in a situation where they don't think in terms of justice. They say it's just us who are being prosecuted. I wanted while doing my work as a prosecutor and as a judge to let them know that it's not just us, but this is a place where you have rights and you will be treated fairly. I went out of my way to treat everyone with respect and with fairness, and to let them know that I was not proceeding on the basis of a biased view of them, or with a view toward favoring the state, or with a view toward trying to oppress people or their rights. Mm-hmm. I wanted people appearing before me or as a result of cases that I brought to know that I was being objective and that I was trying to do the right thing, not just for the state or the federal government, but by them as individuals.
Absolutely. Okay. If you could give 3 pieces of advice to a young person today, living in today's world, especially a young Black man, what 3 pieces of advice would you give them?
First of all, always treat people the way you wish to be treated. Number 1. Number 2, love yourself. Love those around you. Number 3, learn as much as you can and read.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so since I have the benefit of having you here, as we know, and this is not for this show, but as we know, so many things are happening with the police, especially right now as we take this today, and behavior. It used to be when I was growing up, if you were in trouble, you called the police. And now less and less, people of color are inclined to call the police to help us. If you were giving advice to, especially a young Black man in today's world, and he's driving around, you gave this advice, this is excellent. But if he finds himself in a situation, what would you tell him to do to protect himself?
Number one, don't move suddenly. Keep your hands on the steering wheel or in plain sight, and be respectful. You don't need to antagonize or act negatively toward a law enforcement officer when that officer approaches you. Just stay calm no matter what the law enforcement officer says or does.
Mhm.
That's a way of protecting you and also assuring the officers that you're not doing anything to harm them.
Yes, because fear is a huge factor in a lot of these things, and things are just getting out of control. So thank you for that so much. All right, well, as we're concluding, again, I want to say thank you for taking the time to share this with us. Your wisdom is just so wonderful, and the depth and the breadth of your career, I mean, it's just fantastic. So thank you for that. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, I guess one of the things that I certainly believe is important is we have to have respect and love for ourselves. If you don't have respect and love for yourself, it will show in the way that you deal with others. And of course, get as much education as you can. Education was the key to my exit from the projects and to my success in my career. And it's so important to have a good education in this world, because there are so many things that are evolving and so many things that you can do if you have a good educational background.
Thank you so much. I know so many are going to find inspiration in your story, Uncle Charles. And I just wish you the best, continued success. Thank you for continuing to fight the fight, and for choosing the path that you did. And it's been great seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You too.